What's up, guys? Justin Kaplan Pro here, your startup business mentor and branding strategist. I have a great new topic for you today. I'm going to be hooking you guys up with 6 secrets to establish incredible self-discipline and increased willpower. Of all the things that I see my clients wrestle with, self-discipline is continually at the top of the list. And the thing is, I think most people know it when their self-discipline needs some work. I think people think, man, if I just had some more self-discipline, everything would be easier. I'd be able to get up on time every day. I'd be able to be consistent with my routine. I'd be able to get the right things done. I wouldn't get sucked into social media and waste so much time. I think most people think of self-discipline as the key to living a better overall life. But is that really true? And if it is true, why do so many people continually struggle with it? More importantly, what is it going to take for you to become completely self-disciplined yourself and be able to sustain the behavior until it becomes who you are at your core? We're going to cover all those things and more today in today's training. And guys, if you're so excited about the content today, go ahead and drop a like on this video. Certainly subscribe to the channel. Drop me some comments down below because I love the interaction and I absolutely love questions. All right, so let's dive right in. Hang tight. All right, y'all, we're going to dive right into this, and I want to start us off today by talking first about what self-discipline actually is. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, well, isn't that obvious? Not necessarily. It may seem obvious, but I've found that many people don't actually have a self-discipline problem. And you might think you do. You might say things like, man, if I could just be more disciplined, I'd be able to get up earlier. Okay, but lack of self-discipline, is that really the reason why you don't get up earlier? Let's answer that question by first defining what self-discipline actually is. So self-discipline actually means acting in accordance with your thoughts, not your feelings. I'm going to say that again. Self-discipline means acting in accordance with your thoughts, not your feelings. It is the ability to commit to doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. There's a great quote by George the Lucky that describes commitment as doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. Now, if we take that and compare it to motivation, motivation is your desire to do something in the first place. So when we compare those two, let's dig into that a little bit further by looking at one of the most significant goal-setting seasons of the year, which is New Year's Day. You've all been there. You all know what that feels like. You get to the new year and you think, this is the year to do things differently. This is the year that everything changes for me. This is the year of our big spring break family vacation. So this is the year that I'm finally going to lose this weight. Sound familiar? You've been there, right? You decide you're going to lose 20 pounds. You decide on the meal plan. You decided on the exercise plan. You've even called up the gym and you might even have paid your first month membership. You go strong for the first couple weeks, but then the obstacles rise and really don't feel like it. Days show up. The scale doesn't seem to match the effort that's being put in, and before you know it, you've already given up. But why? You really wanted it, right? Yes, but what you wanted was the end result. You didn't really want the process. You liked the idea of losing 20 pounds, and you really liked the idea imagining how you would look 20 pounds lighter running on that beach during your spring break vacation. But you never liked the idea of what it was going to take to get there. So in this case, the problem was never self-discipline. It was a lack of motivation. So before you ask yourself, how do I increase self-discipline? You need to be sure that your issue isn't a lack of motivation. Instead, remember, motivation is your desire to accomplish a goal. Self-discipline is your ability to follow through on that goal even when you don't feel like it. Does that make sense? Good. So then, presuming that your issue really is self-discipline, let's clear up another misconception, which is self-discipline versus habits. I just posed the challenge to you that you might not have a self-discipline problem, but rather possibly a motivation problem. It's also equally possible that your problem may not be discipline, but rather your habits. solid personal habits are essential to succeeding and being self-disciplined. So we have to have this conversation. A habit is something so familiar that you do it almost automatically. It requires very little thought or willpower and absolutely no coercion. So taking that into consideration, the best way to improve self-discipline is to first focus on changing your habits. For example, if you want to commit to exercising at least 30 minutes every day, you first need to create a habit of exercising 30 minutes every day. Habits are formed over time. Habits are also formed from desire, meaning that you have to want it and you have to know why you want it. Now remember, you're not focusing on the result that exercising 30 minutes a day will bring you. That is a motivator, but your commitment has to go beyond that. And this is where doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you comes into play. That's how habits are formed. And initially, it's going to take some self-discipline to establish a consistent and committed routine of exercising 30 minutes every day, and you will definitely need self-discipline to overcome the resistance you may feel in developing that habit. But eventually, you won't even need to think about it. It'll become an integral part of your daily process or of your daily routine. And once you get to that point, not exercising 30 minutes a day will feel uncomfortable. Still though, self-discipline is a necessity to building new habits and changing existing ones. So, now that I've set all that up for you guys, let me give you 6 of my very best tips for developing the self-discipline that will help you create powerful new habits that will absolutely transform your life. All right, let's dive right into it. Tip number 1 is to upgrade your identity, not your behavior. I think most people believe that self-discipline is about regulating your behavior. Seems about right, doesn't it? While there's some good application to that thought process, it's not the most powerful way to introduce change. One of my most favorite quotes is by Les Brown, who says, to do something you've never done, you have to become someone you've never been. You have to sacrifice who you've been in the past to give birth to who you need to be for your future. That's upgrading your identity. If you can truly upgrade how you view yourself and the commitment that you have to yourself, everything else will be upgraded because of it. For example, let's say you're on a mission to lose 20 pounds, and you know that your success in doing so is going to hinge significantly on you eating less junk food. So you're at a birthday party, and the host offers you a slice of your favorite cake, along with a scoop of the most perfect ice cream. The natural and immediate response for most people would be to say, no thanks, I'm on a diet, or no thanks, I'm trying to lose weight. Am I right? We've all said that, have we not? But while that is a perfectly valid response, it puts focus on self-denial. In all actuality, you're still the person who wants to eat that cake and ice cream. You're just saying no at this time because, well, you feel like you have to say no. Operating in that mindset can make you feel miserable and more desperate the longer you do it. And eventually, there's going to come a time where you're just like, you know what? I deserve a break. I've earned it. Sure, I'll have some. Why not? What's one miss or what's one bad day? And then what happens? Regret happens. But how does that same scenario play out if instead you say, no thanks, I actually don't eat cake and ice cream? That's a subtle difference, but it feels completely different, doesn't it? You're not denying yourself, you're actually affirming your new identity. You're not punishing yourself, you're confirming your commitment to who you decided to be. Do you see the difference? This is a powerful shift of the mind, and it will completely transform your ability to turn behaviors into self-disciplined habits. So that's number 1, is to upgrade your identity, not just your behavior. Number 2 is to remind yourself why you're being disciplined in the first place. To maximize your self-discipline every day, it is necessary that you keep the bigger picture in mind. If you don't continually remind yourself why you are doing what you're doing, you will continue to struggle being consistent in important daily actions on the days that suck. I mean, think about it. I don't spend countless hours on content creation and video editing and search engine optimization because I enjoy staring at a computer screen 12 plus hours a day. I do it because I know what I'm working towards. My big vision is clear, and I know exactly how my consistent daily actions play into the overall success of what I'm working to achieve. And that destination, that freedom, that level of income, and that lifestyle are worth it to me. That's worth the self-discipline, the sweat, the focus, the commitment that are required of me right now. Does that make sense? So the problem is that so many people get caught up solely focusing on their to-do list and the hard work and how tired they are and all the question marks and challenges that they lose sight of why they're doing it all in the first place. I think it is crucial to have visual reminders of your big vision and goals that keep them in the forefront of your mind every single day. This is why I think vision boards can be so powerful. It's not that the vision boards themselves have some sort of magical properties that make all your dreams come true. Quite the contrary. A large majority of people, they create their vision boards completely wrong, so they do nothing for them. But when you have a powerful visual reminder of the greatest desires of your heart that you can review every single day, you'll find that being able to continually revisit that why will help you push you through virtually anyhow. So that's number 2, is to remind yourself why you're being disciplined, all right? Number 3 is to commit to fundamentals first. Committing to the basics and mastering fundamentals can be hard. I get it. I've struggled to fall in love with the mundane tasks and focus on the basics many times myself. For example, as an entrepreneur, it is very easy for me to spend my days working on the details. Should I make a small tweak to my website design? Should I answer those 50 emails? Should I update my thumbnail design to see if it improves my conversions? All of these things have a place, but that place should not be at the top of my to-do list. Instead, my time is and must be better spent focusing on the fundamentals of my business. For example, making sure that I'm getting my daily content created, following up with new prospects, keeping in touch with my current clients, etc. As one of my favorite bosses used to tell me, Justin, stay out of the gutter, which was a reference to bowling. He used to always tell me that his job as my boss was to help me throw a strike every time. But sometimes, if a strike wasn't possible, he at least needed to make sure that I stayed out of the gutter. Because a gutter ball is 0 points, no progress, a waste of an opportunity to score. And this is when I truly learned the concept of the 80-20 rule, that 80% of my actions were only producing 20% of my results, and then quite the opposite, 20% of my actions were producing 80% of my results. That is where your fundamentals are born. You must identify those 20% actions that have the greatest impact and greatest return on your business, and those are what need to be executed day in and day out without fail. The greatest skill in any endeavor is doing the work, putting in the sweat equity. And for that reason, most people don't need more time or more money or more strategies. They just need to do real work and to master the basics. So that's number 3, is commit to the fundamentals first, all right? Number 4 is to practice developing new habits. On the onset of this training, I explained how habits are different from self-discipline, and in many cases, more important for changing your behavior. However, the process of developing a new habit is a great exercise for building self-discipline. Because you haven't yet developed the habit, you have to rely on self-discipline to overcome the resistance to quitting what you started. So very simply, let's say that you've decided to begin setting your alarm and getting up at 6 a.m. every morning on the first ring of your alarm. No snooze button. That's not a habit yet. Currently, your habit is you set your alarm invariably based upon whenever you get to bed the night before. There's no routine in the evening or in the morning. And in some instances, you don't even set your alarm at all. I'm reading somebody's mail right now. I'm peeking in your windows. So you're looking at developing a new habit. And remember, the why is essential. Why do you want to get up consistently early? That's the most important variable here. Once you're clear on that, then you know that it's going to take some serious commitment and self-discipline, because you know it isn't going to be easy. But eventually, the more consistent you are, it will become easier, and eventually it will be set in as a new habit. Just be sure that you don't try to develop a whole new series of habits all at once. That's a recipe for burnout. Start with one, work on it for several weeks, and then only move on to a new habit once the current habit has become automatic, all right? Let's keep moving, all right? Number 5 is, if you're actively practicing being disciplined, allow yourself days to not be disciplined. This is crucial. In my first couple years in being in business, I was obsessive about being disciplined. There was so much that I felt I wanted and needed to accomplish. I was completely out of balance. Part of that came from the fact that I was working out of complete desperation to succeed. I operated like a machine. Every minute of my day was planned on the schedule, and I truly believed that that was what it was going to take for me to be successful as an entrepreneur. Honestly, it was everything that I was listening to and reading. It was that do what others don't so that you can live a life later like others won't mentality, right? And needless to say, it was exhausting and about burned me out. And one of the things that I didn't do enough was give myself time to not be disciplined. And this is a hard line to draw from me, because a lot of people reward themselves with relaxation time despite hardly doing anything to really earn it. For me, I felt like I had to earn downtime, and I had to constantly have the view that I wasn't doing enough. And so I brought myself to the edge of complete burnout on multiple occasions. Part of the art of learning self-discipline is knowing when to push and also to know when to pull back. And first of all, Your pullback time should never exceed your push time, which is when you are actively working on the fundamentals and taking steps towards your goals. That's important. Some of you are spending way too much time pulling back and nowhere near enough time pushing forward. Alternatively, though, your push time should never be so much that your pull back time is completely non-existent. And that's what happened to me. Self-discipline is not a destination. You never arrive there. It is a continual daily practice that requires constant refining, which means you need to optimize for a marathon, not a sprint, which leads me to my last point. Number 6 is to think long-term. To quote Abraham Lincoln, he says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." If you ever wonder where you will be in 10 years from now, look at your current life. What actions are you taking to make your goals reality? How many books are you reading to grow as a person? And how many new things are you learning? Which people are you associating with? Are you putting in the effort necessary to achieve the goals that you have today? People oftentimes think that their lives will suddenly change through some magical event in the future, but that is not the case. Your life changes only to the extent that you change yourself. If you are not happy with your current circumstances, ask yourself if you are taking the necessary actions to change them, change you. If not, you're just daydreaming. And nothing changes until you do. One of my all-time favorite quotes by Aristotle says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, therefore, is not an act, but a habit." Ask yourself today, what do your goals require of you? Who do you need to become? Visualize that person, then start today taking one step at a time to become that person that your goals require you to be. That's what I've got for you today, crew. Hope you enjoyed that one. Drop me some comments down below, guys. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Certainly subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed my content for you today. Hopefully this gave you a direct challenge to be more self-disciplined and some very practical ways that you can work on doing so, all right? I'm going to leave you with that. Have a blessed day. Be intentional with your time today. Be intentional with that talent that you have, and I will see you guys all around the web, all right? Take care. God bless, and I'll see you guys next time.